one's family, within the family members, and then within the outside world, within the kind of place where one work, just within the kind of community. And these days, even we see all these different kinds of instant information through the kind of television. We see how things are kind of like happening, and how kind of mean guys does all sorts of negative action, and they kind of using all sorts of kind of like weapons, and that way how somebody may be killed, or somebody may be you know uh, mm, just end up with so much kind of like suffering, and just because of one's kind of like anger, and then the hatred, and that the kind of negative emotion that one could not kind of control at that moment. So then one just kind of like put into physical action to kind of take some kind of like a crime. And that way, just like this, we have to look very carefully in our life, and in our mind, and in our being. And just been acting in that way, just how much it did disturb. That the hatred and anger and so forth, it is called negative, because it is the when it arises in your being, like anger, it is negative, because it really disturbs oneself, one's mind, and it will just lose one's peace of mind, and there is no possibility one can just be just happy with that. And at the same time, with that, kind of like anger, once you take action, and then cause some kind of crime or problem, then that person, just how much you are kind of causing suffering, pain. And not only that person, that whole their just family, relatives, and so forth, they all get kind of upset. And that way, where it is causing kind of like a problem, uh, with that kind of like a negative emotion, and then kind of like so much of suffering into oneself, and then even one's own family also, they all also reject. Why you do that way? Why you didn't think of it? Why you just everybody get upset, and kind of feel sorry, and then kind of so much of emotion and so much of worry, that one who is kind of like creating that crime, and at the same time the victim family, and so forth. So even for like kind of like person to person, and then through that family to family, and then community to community, and then kind of how sometimes it is kind of nation to nation, how much disturbance, how much like problem, how much kind of sufferings are kind of like creating. So that what it is called, the negative emotions are kind of like cause of suffering, and that is how one end up in this present lifetime also kind of like how much suffering. And such kind of the what the negative emotion, there are even not just only like hatred and anger, but also sometimes with the jealousy, sometimes with the kind of like pride, sometimes with even kind of like desire, and sometimes with the just the too much of kind of like ego, pride, and that way these the negative emotions kind of whatsoever they arise in our somehow in our being, in our mind, And then, we put that into action, typical, kind of verbal action, like uh, expressing very negative words, and that which cause, kind of like a negative feeling for the, kind of other person and the suffering. And then that it end up just becoming more worse, and then, kind of physical, kind of putting into action. And so that what we see in this world, in a, kind of individual cases, family cases, and the community cases, cases between, countries, and that, like as we look into the world history, back into our history, just how much of those, kind of like so much of power, and then, ego, and at the same time, greediness, and according to that, how much it is, kind of like affecting the whole world, and what it is went through. So from all those, we have to learn if we are, kind of like in this modern world where we feel, where we think, or the 21st century, kind of modern world is much, much more educated, much more civilized, and much more, advanced and developed in so many ways, science and technologies and health and rest of other many educations. And at the same time, world itself has become, kind of small, that wherever we find all this kind of greatest success of, education, training, people can just travel and learn and, get educated. But still, kind of that the real, kind of happiness and peace and relaxation and good health and harmonies. These are, just whether do we, kind of experience in this, 21st century, how much. Even though, compared to the past centuries, it is much better. It is much better. But still, kind of each and every individual beings, until and unless we don't work with this emotion, negative emotion. In Buddhism, this is a main thing to concentrate, to study and look into it, and just find it out. What is the real source of the unhappiness? What is the real cause of all this suffering? And how all sorts of miserable lives that people experience, and why there is so much of, kind of like a disturbance, each other, human to human, even, kind of between the relatives, between the families. So these are to, just we need to awake now, as we have been going through, awakened warrior. We need to awake from this kind of like a seeing in the world what is happening, and looking into it, kind of like a going through search. What is the real cause of all this problem? It's nothing else other than this, negative emotion. And because of that, the negative emotion, that somehow, just in Buddhism, that it has been taught, got into the reality, got into the truth, that every single beings have this negative emotion. And because of that negative emotion, we are creating all those, negative karma. And with that, the negative emotion, and the negative karma, then we are, kind of like born in this world, which means in this samsara. Samsara means, kind of what is called cyclic existence. So cyclic existence means like a, just every individual being is been, kind of like a, within from this life, we die and then again born. So what is going through in a cyclic way is our own consciousness, our own mind. And within our mind, or a sense of, being conscious, that not having that, just conscious in form of wisdom, but become, kind of like conscious in the negative way with the ignorance. And as I said, earlier, within this, kind of emotion, just only two categories, negative emotion and positive emotion. So negative emotion, how it has been, kind of as explained earlier, that how it is causing all this kind of suffering and problem in the world, and that which, just in this lifetime, how much one do, and then when we die, our consciousness or our mind goes into cycle, which means from here, then again, just, reborn. So doesn't matter whether you believe in next life or not. Doesn't matter whether you believe in law of karma or not. Doesn't matter whether you believe in, kind of this whole system of psychological explanation of negative emotions and positive emotions and how it is creating all this kind of karma. But the thing is, more important thing is, we have to know the reality. We have to know the truth. We have to know, kind of like a, in a logical way, how things are functioning in the samsaric world. This is something that, just in a way, it is very obvious. That what we see in the world, just from our, like a grandparents' time till now, how those, kind of whole complete history of, just warfares and those disturbances, every culture, every country, every administration have all those, kind of like problems is because of those beings. And today, all of us, where we have these emotions, negative emotions, and that is, kind of in a way very subtle, because most of the time, all people, all human, kind of, they're okay, until and unless some kind of like a, argument does not happen, or some kind of negative condition doesn't arise, or some kind of problem doesn't arise, or some kind of issue does not arise. It's okay. Just, people are friendly and they're nice and, enjoy together, kind of have more or less, kind of good life and so forth. It seems, kind of like okay. But then once, kind of like some issue arise, then the internals, the negative emotions, kind of like arise, and then we end up with those, kind of problems. And whatever the, kind of like a negative emotions, kind of, and whatever what the action, the karma accumulated. No matter this lifetime, you are just, very strong and brave and powerful, and you can just torture or you can smash somebody. But the good thing is, as based on, kind of Buddha's teaching, it says there is the, kind of justice. There is the best justice, and there is sharpest, kind of justice, and there is the, kind of like very remarkable, kind of justice. And the memories of this justice is also very sharp. Even just time gone, like what is called in the eons lifetimes gone, but that kind of this justice, kind of memory, never miss anything, and also never ever misplace, and never ever just kind of like forgets anything. So that kind of justice is called. Maybe you are wondering what is that kind of that kind of justice is called law of karma, and it is just somehow very very powerful and very sharp, and it never just kind of mess up with anything. And so from that point of view, we need to know that because of any of these negative emotions, afflictive emotion, what is called afflictive emotion, because that disturbs your mind, that getting afflicted, like anger and so forth is there, right? And how much that we are afflicted and how much of those negative emotions arise, there is no any good result. There is no anything positive. There is no anything is kind of like a consequences, something that which you can enjoy. Mhm. So that is why this is called the kind of like a all defilement or the all negative emotion is cause of suffering. But in reality, but we are not realizing, we are not just understanding, we are not just kind of seeing that just how much suffering can be kind of like created by oneself to kind of the to oneself by one's own emotion, and also that possible to create all those kind of suffering to others because of one's kind of emotion expressed to others, and then the others emotion also arise, maybe sometimes more kind of like a powerful emotion, and then when these negative emotions of two person comes together, then it smash everything, and it's just do a great destruction. So uh, so that way, just if we are, yeah, one thing that continuation with that, that I'm talking about the, what's say, cyclic existence. So our consciousness, whatever we are habituated with all these kind of emotions, that will bring back into the next life. And the thing is, as I said earlier, whether you believe next life or not, but there is the reality, the sense of consciousness or the mind somehow does not die. So when that day does not die forever, then that consciousness, through the intermediate stage or what is called pardo, then again obtain a form. Mm. So when one obtain a form, it is a not of one's own choice. It is not a free will. Mm. It is all everything completely dependent on what you have done, whatever causes conditions, what you have assembled, and that will decide, that justice, law of karma, that will decide where you will be born. It's not of one's own will. Mm. This is a really need lots of kind of contemplation and lots of research or lots of experiment, how far it is, kind of true. And even though it is, kind of 100% true, and it is the, kind of like a nature of our lives, but still people want to be just kind of like a more independent. People say, uh, I don't want to believe such thing. It's up to oneself. It's true. Whatever you want to believe, whatever you don't want to believe. At this time, when we are born as human, when we have this kind of state of mind, there is complete freedom, and there is a just complete choice. What you want to really, kind of like what you want to be in your future life and in your next life. It is all everything in one's hand right now. As a human being, have the greatest capability, greatest opportunity, and the greatest possibility. Opportunity, capability, possibility. How we want to work for our kind of future lives and our next life, and even according to Buddhism, all the way to the kind of nirvana, liberation, and all the way to kind of even just become like enlightened being, just to become a Buddhahood, which means kind of enlightened, awakened, which we are talking about. Enlightened means awakened. You are completely awakened from the whole complete the existence of this world, the nature of this phenomena, and especially nature of your mind, and knowing the whole complete system of just who you are and what you are doing and what is causing all this kind of miserable life to oneself and others, and where, who is, what is happening. And there is no anybody that you can blame to somebody. According to Buddhism, there is no anybody that you can just blame. It is all, everything is of one's own, like a self is responsible for your good life and for your bad life and for your happiness and for your suffering. For example, like those who just like those who go to school and educate themselves and do kind of study well, and then kind of there are just lots and lots of people who are very nice, and who have those kind of like potentials to be an expert in their life. Just somehow, where in general it says everybody has some sort of potential based on the relative reality. Where you can become somebody have a potential for a singer, very good at singer. Because everybody does not become a great singer. And some have, kind of potential for just become a very great musician. Some, great artists, some great philosophers, some, just doctors, some engineers, some, kind of like leaders, and so forth. Everybody has some potential that if one properly train and educate and oneself also, kind of like follow, that sort of good things is also there. And similar like that, there is the potential that in the next lifetime, what you would be and where you can born is all in one's kind of hand. And so at this kind of life. So this is what in Buddhism, kind of like explains the talks and teaches about, kind of to learn oneself, mind, and one's emotions, and to kind of train oneself. And that is so you get education from a, kind of like a qualified master, like, just according to this, kind of bright eon, the greatest, most qualified master is Shakyamuni Buddha, and who has taught based on how he have been enlightened, become a awakened, and how he become a greatest warrior being, kind of like awakened. So earlier that what one need to, kind of like fight out to end the, cause of suffering, and that more or less kind of the enemy. So the real enemy is not outside. The real enemy that calls you from from life to life and life to life to go through all these, kind of process of suffering and difficulty is within ourselves. This, kind of emotion. Mm. So this is one thing to, kind of like examine, and then uh, just don't to leave it like that and contemplate. Really contemplate and think, and then try to work on it in this life and try to work on it. Besides that, there are lots of books. These all these, you know Buddhist books from the great Indian scholars from the Nalanda University, those like Nagarjuna, Acharya Shantideva, and Chandrakirti, and so forth. And they now with the, many of the Tibetan masters, kind of they all studied, same thing, and then they receive it, and then they educate, and then they practice, and then they have realization, and then they attain liberation and enlightenment. According to that, they have given all these, kind of instruction for the future generation like us. So read those, and kind of like educate. Of course, there are lots of fun reading like all these kind of modern novel books, and like Harry Potter's or lots of things. All these movie books. It is interesting. It is fun. It is just a temporary, but it is very, very temporary. And sometimes from those movies, we can also learn, same like that. Those who have negative emotion, how that person, end up with the suffering at the end. And those who have positive emotion, such as like compassion, loving kindness, and being very honest and truthful and patient and nice and hardworking, very devoted. Whatever oneself is kind of try to do for whom, including their family or their nation or for the country. Kind of they are just kind of like good people like that. Similarly, in the movie also, those good people, those who have positive emotions, they end up their life at the end victory and happiness and gathering of family. So everybody kind of enjoy, and people those who are watching also things like, oh, that is right. So there are lots of kind of movies through which we can learn about what is right and what is wrong, what is kind of the uh, suffering problem is creating by what sort of kind of emotion. So and what sort of happiness is created by with the positive emotion. So those kind of like a both almost like a devil and God, Buddha and Mara, negative forces and positive forces. Good things, bad things. It is in our kind of like being while we are in samsara, in our kind of mind. But they are not just they are these what just the emotions, but they are not like existing as something which cannot be changed. It is not something existing like kind of like a inherent existence. It's nothing like anything inherent existence. Nothing like inherent true existence. It is all just kind of like a transformable. Everything can be kind of changed. Because as we have already talked that, anything that which is compounded, of causes and conditions, is a subject to change. This is also, you can just investigate in the world in the lifetime. If you ever could, find anything that which is, composed of causes and conditions, that still it is something permanent, it would be very interesting in the world. It's not just for temporary, in the whole world, kind of one. So, and that means it's our mind. For example, like, some people are in their earlier age very short tempered. And once they get educated into, kind of all the field and become more learned, and especially, kind of learned with the Dharma, and then by the end of their life, they have become very, very kind person, loving person, very relaxed, very noble person. That can change. So there are also, you can see, kind of read and, stories and so forth. So this way we have to, kind of here, we have to just, learn the world and phenomena and oneself. And then moreover, the most important is mind, because mind is the source of the, everything, that whatever it is existing in this world is your mind projecting. And your mind can be also have that the potential that you would project the whole complete, perfectly enlightened, what is called, we can say, Buddhahood, or the, just enlightened beings. That is also there. So it is depend which we, kind of nurture, on which we exercise, and where we, kind of support. This is what need to just kind of learn and understand, understand, according to the, kind of like, actually teachers are there in the world, how things are impermanent, and what, kind of like a negative emotion causes problems, and positive emotion brings happiness. So that is why what we, after all this, what we need to exercise is train our mind, just a sense of being loving. How we can be just develop a sense of being loving means, kind of that how you can be just nice, which means how one can have a kind heart, who just, cares for, kind of, in one way, for example, within a family, just how one cares for the, welfare of the family, happiness of the family, harmony of the family, how one can live, how one can live peacefully, how one can live, just happily. And that all just, kind of depend upon more of the our mind training of developing this compassion, loving and kindness and caring, and especially knowing about the negative emotion, is the cause of suffering. And that is the, kind of like a reality. The whatever the seed, for example, like, kind of, if you plant a rose flower, and as you nurture it, you will get definitely rose flower. If you plant a, kind of like a, sunflower seed, and then you nurture it, you get sunflower. And if you just have the seed of, orchid flower, whatever flowers you like, or whatever fruits you like, whatever trees, plants, whatever you, and when you know that, kind of seed, and that as you nurture with the condition, and you will get it. In that same way, internal beings, kind of the seed, in a way, we have the, kind of like all the potential of the seed. And it depends upon what, we want and how we train and how we nurture. So that way, kind of one have to see, just what one really looking for. So as I said in the earlier and in beginning, just in reality, everybody wants to be, kind of happy and wants to be, just peaceful. And even everybody wants to be, kind of to live happily, even not, terminally, even happily forever. So lots and lots of people think that, oh, to live, happily forever is only found in fairy tale story. And people don't understand that which is possible in our life also. So because one doesn't know what is the real cause and condition and what are the potentials and what are the possibilities, what are the capabilities within ourselves that we can just work on it, that we can live for ever. Not knowing that, and that not knowing is called, ignorance. So many things, how much we educate in this, kind of worldly, but still there are, kind of like there is much more great ignorance than how much we just get educated into. Oh, because our mind, our mind has a just, unbelievable capability, just unimaginable, kind of potential, possibility. And it is just very, very profound and vast, even more vast than this space. We have that. But, just right now, how much we, kind of utilize out of those, kind of potential, maybe like not even 1 or 2% of it. So all this capability and potential and the, just the that is the special quality, how much it is there. We haven't exercised about it. We haven't give training to it. We haven't just got it because we didn't know one have that much, kind of potential. For example, like, the modern science, greatest scientists, so many scientists, great, that they also say, kind of how much our brains have so much of potential. And they were saying, kind of how much we are using our brain out of, kind of like 100%, maybe only, kind of 10 or 15%. So rest is all just kind of left there, ignored, and no, kind of use and nothing functioning because we didn't train. So according to Buddhism, it is mind. And as we go through this whole complete system of the psychology, what the science of mind in Buddhism, there is kind of very, very extensive explanation, even just every single types of emotions in Buddhism as kind of like a division to division and division, just kind of like just get into the emotion. It says every single being have 84,000 emotions. And that all explained in detail in this sutra and Abhidhamma Kosh and so forth. The like many of our kind of like a great masters explanation that the in the on the one hand, like how the whole complete as more what's it astrology, external astrological the existence, kind of what scientists could find is just only part of portion of it. What it is explained in the Buddhist, kind of text. Similarly, that the science of mind, how everything explains, in its kind of detail. Mm. So these are things to educate and that to train ourselves. And then, however, that is now thought just to let you know on positive emotions. Mm. So instead of kind of like a getting used to these kind of negative emotions, now we have to train and get used to the positive emotion. Because now here somehow we come to that some sense of understanding that the negative emotions are cause of suffering. So I don't think that there is anybody who wants to experience suffering and who wants to end up in suffering. I don't think. Uh, as kind of like wherever or whoever we ask, kind of everybody wants to, just experience happiness and peace. And so then we must have to know what is the real cause and condition of happiness and peace. And that the happiness also, in temporary happiness and ultimate happiness. So the temporary happiness is during this our lifetime, and the plus while we are getting recycled in samsara, recycled by who? The machine of karma. Hmm. Karma is the recycled machine of all these beings, and that is kind of every single sentient being, even these tiny insects, flies, or big animals like kind of elephants, or kind of scary animals like tigers and leopards, or even the god realms or demigods, or this kind of just modern world saying kind of like aliens, if there are such thing existing aliens, aliens. And then every single kind of like a beings in the ocean, those octopus and so forth. And then if there is such a thing, what is called ghost and ghost beings and health, that every single being is looking for happiness. Even that when we see at the kind of like ant nest, how just every morning, kind of they almost get so busy just walking here and there and taking something, and kind of even sometimes these animals are very strong. They can carry bigger than their body, and they just kind of, and they all just looking for happiness. Mm. So so if we are looking for happiness, we have to know what is the cause of happiness. So in this world, those what say capitalists and the like a kind of like a concern on materialism, on the kind of like a economics and so forth. That all just thinking that the happiness is outside. One can find happiness and peace outside. And just, I think the majority population of the world doesn't know that happiness can find within oneself. So that is why, kind of look into this world, just everybody try to, kind of like get something from outside. And that way, in our day-to-day lifetime, everybody try to just, educate into so many different field of education, and then, kind of just get the graduation and degree, and then find job, and then they just work for the whole life, looking for happiness. And just thinking, oh, if I have a big house, I will be happy. Or now, if I have a car, I will be happy. Now, if I have, kind of like all this, kind of like fame, I will be happy. If I have lots of, kind of income, I will be happy. And even just look that the one of those richest people in the world, does they seem, kind of happy? So that is why, kind of like a materialism is a condition, a temporary condition that helps you. But the actual happiness that can experience within oneself when we train our, kind of inner quality, just inner quality, and such as like, just being as, just being very, kind of like compassion. The compassion is one of the quality, one of the force that will make oneself and others happy. And similarly, the, kind of loving kindness, that being loving and kind to, just anybody, just trying one's best to train one's mind always in that nature, that is also one of the cause for happiness. And then, kind of like a being, just nice and having that kind heart, to anybody without just kind of like a much distinction. That if one develop that, kind heart, that is the cause of, kind of happiness. And then besides that, even sometimes you are kind, but people don't understand. Still, they attack you and they abuse you and they bully you. So at that point, kind of like many people lose their patience, and then their compassions are broke down, and loving kindness are broke down, and then they become just disturbed, and then this, kind of like anger arise, and then hatred arise, and then they also become same like those like beasts, kind of don't have some sense of, kind of understanding about what is called wisdom. They don't have that. Then become same thing. And then what it happens is disturbance and suffering and problem and no anything good or happiness come out of it. Uh, so then it's just become, kind of equally negative. So when those things, kind of disturbance, harms and criticism, all those happen, we have to train our mind not to lose that just of the compassion, loving kindness, caring. And for that, we need to have to do lots of practice about being patient. And, just how one can, kind of like kind of like be patient in a very stable way. And immediately also, kind of feeling forgiveness. Whatever they say, don't mind, forgive. And, work hard not to lose that once, kind of like a positive emotions or virtuous emotion, that, kind of that quality which one had been trying to maintain, not to just lose and not to, kind of disturb and not to waste it. And that is why one needs just kind of lots of courage to maintain, lots of patience, and lots of, kind of perseverance, and at the same time some sense of determination. No matter whatever even this world may attack me, I'm not going to lose my patience. I'm not going to, kind of like disturb my loving kindness. I'm not going to let them just destroy my compassion. No, I'm not going to just, kind of disturb me, because I know they all are compelled by their afflictive emotions, by their negative emotions. And in reality, they also don't want to be, kind of negative in that way. But just because of certain conditions, and then this, kind of the emotion just arrive, and then not having training over it, then it bursts out and then you kind of express. So that way, have, have to train just lots of training our mind. So that is why in Buddhism there are what is called lojong. Lojong means mind training. Mind training means that we have we have those qualities, kind of like a training, like how you just go through all sorts of training, engineering training, and kind of medical training, kind of like art training, martial art training, fun football training, sport training, kind of so many of those trainings to get that, more expert, more championship into it, kind of philosophical training. All those education good. But if we are looking for, just eternity happiness, which means kind of can live, happily forever and ever, is just through mind training. Also, and that is, just that need that kind of like mind training on the positive, kind of like emotion, and that to go through that, one have to know. But one have to know what sort of potential one have. What is the, kind of like cause of suffering, happiness, what oneself looking for, and then, kind of have the whole complete system, that education, uh, and then you know where to just give, kind of that training. So these, besides these of positive training, that is compassion, loving kindness, and so forth, and then there is, kind of like a the deeper deeper explanation even in Buddhism. One thing is that humans and sentient beings. Mm. So it's not necessarily it has to be always like this. So in a higher level of, Buddhist training, higher level of Buddhist teachings, more close to the absolute reality of the, kind of like Vajrayana trainings and teachings, then, kind of like it says that this, where we are, the six realms of being and the six realms of existence of sentient beings, and out of which we are one of the fortunate ones, one of the lucky ones, just as a human being. And within all these beings, just, kind of like where it says, this whole complete existence of this present relative universe is more or less like a movie theater. It's like a movie that every individual one of us have our own role. Just we are, kind of like acting as somebody in this world. That and where it, kind of goes through all sorts of lifestyles and the experiences, kind of like good and bad, and happiness and sufferings, and whatever it is, kind of like a existing that could be explained with any sort of language, kind of all these, is just from the absolute point of view, from the, kind of like the ultimate reality point of view, from our, kind of true, absolute true nature point of view. This is all just merely a kind of like a movie theater where we are just kind of like displaying something. We are displaying something, and on the other hand, it is like just like a dream. The whole complete system, whatever it is going through here, is, like a dream. So we are in a, kind of like a, in sleep, in deep sleep. So in deep sleep, then when that from that deep sleep, when just, kind of have a light sleep, then we started having all these dreams, all sorts of dreams. Sometimes, kind of like very pleasant dreams, and sometimes, kind of like gathering with, all family and, kind of having very nice time. And sometimes, kind of so much, problem and suffering. So, in dream also, there are many dreams and very happy dreams. Also, that in the dream itself, how we all feel that it is so real. And it looks so real. And because you are just kind of like a, just your sense of your, kind of pure consciousness is been somehow trapped under the sleep. So you are not aware about the reality, rather than you are just kind of whatsoever you are dreaming. So within that dream field, so it looks, everything like that. But moment you wake up, moment you, kind of broke the dream because you awake. So you awaken from the dream, similar like that, the great sleep of this ignorance. As I said earlier, kind of the ignorance, even in the, kind of 12 links of the interdependent origination, how that our lives, kind of how it starts and how it goes into cycle. That is, kind of great explanation within the, kind of Buddhist text. And by all those, great masters, just everything starts from the ignorance. So right now, like a, kind of like a dreaming and in this sleep. So just, with the ignorance, we are dreaming. So from this dream life, from this ignorance, we have to be awakened to become a great, kind of like warrior. And that, to awake is called wisdom. How we can gain that wisdom. So the wisdom, here the wisdom, of course, kind of wisdom have maybe so many levels. In relatively, kind of like in the education, we can also use, wisdom, but mostly use, oh, he's this, he or she is very smart, or very intellectual, or very sharp. Doesn't use that much. He have great deal of wisdom in the relative language, in relative world. Kind of like doesn't use that word that much. Just even in Tibetan language, we also use those, kind of like what is called a sharp, means, kind of like a sense of, sharpness, sense of intellectual, sense of, kind of like smartness, that, kind of sharp. Then for wisdom, we use, yeshe. So that we use for most of the, kind of great beings. So that now the point is what it is coming to is in relation with the third, where it is talking about the third seal, talking about that what we think in the relative world at this present moment, what we think this is all, kind of like true. This is all, kind of existing. This is all real. The external phenomena, internal living being, and all everything is real. And almost kind of like a belief that this has a almost like inherent existence or inherent true nature. And it somehow we see as real, we project as real, and we assume as real. And that is why we have this kind of like grasping as real and clinging as real. And, just feeling this is all, kind of real, including your kind of like feelings, whatever sort of feelings, happiness or suffering or whatsoever, even your emotions, that thinking this is all real. And so that is the whole complete system of believing this is all real. That is the what is known as a wrong view. and that is known as the incorrect view. In Tibetan, we say, kind of chinjulo. So, kind of like a thought of a mistaken thought or mistaken belief. Mm. So, so that is, kind of the third, just a seal. In reality, kind of as a, in reality, as I explained with the, kind of like example of dream, it is all unreal. Nothing is true. Nothing has inherent existence. Nothing has inherent, kind of like a true nature. It is all that what we think, kind of the external phenomena, and then the internal oneself, one's aggregates and feelings and thoughts and emotions that where we think real is exactly like we are in the dream. Mm. In the dream, that how everything kind of like appears. So, so that that what it is called wrong view, because in reality there is nothing, kind of inherent existence. That is why in the part of the, kind of third seal is saying that it is emptiness and identity less or identity lessness. Uh, so then, how it is, kind of emptiness in nature and how it is identitylessness in nature that, it's not just merely, kind of like to say, oh, it is emptiness, just forget about it. Or it's not, because there is the whole complete explanation. For example, like the Buddha's, turning wheel of Dharma, the second, the Prajna Paramita Sudra. Prajna Paramita Sudra, the transcendental knowledge. The Sudra means, Buddha's teaching. The Buddha's teaching of the, kind of transcendental knowledge. And upon that, there is the, kind of like a commentaries written by those great Indian scholars from the first century, like Nagarjuna. And Nagarjuna concentrate on the, kind of like a profoundness of the Prajna Paramita, the transcendental knowledge. So profoundness, what means, kind of like the depthlessness, the identitylessness, the, kind of empty nature of the phenomena. And to understand and to explain, then, kind of Nagarjuna written this Mool Madhyamika, that, which has, kind of 27 chapters. And there, kind of he explained with all this logical reasoning, every single aspect of this phenomena, the external phenomena, even our, kind of physical body, our, our emotions and afflictive emotions, our consciousness, and whatsoever it is existing here within this whole complete universe. Even this stars, the whole galaxy, sun and moon, is very complex and very profound. And with that, kind of like a reasoning, where it explains that everything is emptiness and does not have inherent existence. So this, you have to contemplate on this. I have been, kind of like asking during my teaching times, several times in all other occasions in the centers, saying that if anything in this world, any phenomena, it has true, I would say, inherent existence or inherent true nature. then what it would be. Or just to examine and to search it out and look into it. Is there anything that which has an inherent existence within this universe, or inherent existence, or inherent true nature? So I have to, I think that the inherent is the English word, and have to look into that meaning in the dictionary, and then according to that you have to find it out what that means, inherent existence. Uh, and after that, you have to search it out. Is there any entity that ever existing, like kind of inherent existence or inherent true nature or not? If you find it out that, then it is much easier to understand about the meaning of emptiness and identity less or identity less. The thing is, like in the relative world, we all just care so much of one's identity. And that identity is kind of like a symbol of ego. One's ego. And as long as that we have this kind of feeling of identity, who I am, and where have that the strong clinging of I am, and I am existing. And with that, one have that pride for oneself, and then that what it is called, kind of like ego, and that is, just in the kind of relative world, that that ego, that pride, that kind of identity, just kind of like considered it is real and it is existing. It is important, and that is why in the world, kind of, with the modern world, with all this scientific and technology, started creating all this kind of identity, who you are, identity. Like maybe 100 years before, wherever we want to travel, wherever we want to meet, whoever we want to talk, we don't need to show identity. Now the ego is becoming bigger and bigger, and it's becoming more and more solid, and it become more and more kind of like a just like a true and a grasping, clinging on so much that kind of like a, now almost every country in the world, everybody try to create this idea. So have to look into it. Does it make us more happier or more peaceful or more better or not? So uh, so that is the kind of like a wrong concept, wrong belief. Because in the absolute reality, there is no such thing what is called identity. So the part of the seal is that the identity less, and the kind of like its nature as emptiness. So as a kind of like a kind of like a Buddhist, or those who follow the Buddha's teaching, those who believe in Buddha's teaching, those who feel like a Buddha's teaching makes sense, and those who think that whatever Buddha said is true. And that way one could, follow. And for example, like now, Buddha's teaching, like 2,500 years before, what the Buddha has said about, what Buddha has taught about, everything is kind of like a, just relevant and reliable and makes sense on this 21st century, including all those great, scientists and technologists and kind of the great doctors or the great philosophers of the world now that they, since they have what I said about the potential to gain that wisdom, so they also use their kind of scientific methods to just what's say to do experiments, what Buddha said is true or not, such as like interdependent origination. Now they have understood what is called mean by interdependent origination, assembly of cause and condition, how things are just happening, including very, very subtle things, the consciousness or mind. The many scientists, maybe about 20, 30 years before, still scientists all just concentrate on brain. And that, kind of like that education has been getting through generation. Even today, even this modern world, people believe, oh, just because my brain says like that, and my brain thinks like that, my brain does it. But the great scientists who established that the brain is the everything now, kind of they started knowing about what is called consciousness or mind, something different, something more subtle, something more profound than the kind of like brain itself. And so that mind, that consciousness is what is called now the kind of like emotion. So so that is the kind of explanation of identitylessness. Yeah, it's just kind of like a very simple, easy to take and kind of like a investigation that like where we say kind of I. So all the sentient beings, all the human beings believe that there is a self, I, me. I am doing, I am happy, I'm feeling safe, and so forth. So where we, kind of apply that I, and when we look, just into, kind of say, I am doing, so your whole body, or I am sick, also you say, your whole body, whatever problem, sickness happens, say, I say, oh, what happened with you? Or my head, kind of like headache, then, my head, or just, kind of like I just, fell down, I broke my knee, and that is my and the knee phenomena. And then what, kind of say, oh, what happened? Oh, I fell down. So one say, I fell down. And then what happened? Oh, my knee broke down. So there is I, that which is the ego, and then kind of like thing like a mind, one's kind of like a body. So there is kind of two identity, identity of self and identity of the phenomena that which belongs to you. And that way we have this, the phenomenon that which belongs to you, the identity as this, kind of, or this my table, or my car, my house, my cup, my friend, my family, my, kind of like a husband, wife, my children, my belonging, my bank account, my, millions of mine. And that is all one thing, this is all real, and that belongs to, kind of like me, and that me, that, the I, that all these things, kind of believe is kind of true existence and kind of something real. And that is why kind of like Acharya Sandarakshita, who wrote Matemika Alankara, in that he says that Mata Chupunyam Gawacha and Painto. So he said about the relative reality, about relative truth, that thing, Mataba. If we don't examine this whole complete phenomena, however it appears, however it looks, and according to it does function. For example, like this cup, we can fill the water or tea and can drink, and it is like table we can put things, and car we can drive, and airplane we can fly, and light on. So just don't examine, and kind of like once being and other. But when we examine, kind of like a, just whether this is true or not, and according to that, relatively, all this phenomena, where it says Ketanjiva, it is just kind of arising, existing, and then, just falls into part. When we look into the whole world, the history of those, kind of like a long time back that emperors built up those, castles that looks like maybe just, last forever. Now, today, it just become a museum. Similar like that, just it arises and then, kind of falls. That is why also explained in Buddhism, part of that, kind of fourth extreme. The, kind of like a, uh, mm, the birth, the end, that the end of the birth is, kind of like a death. So that we don't have freedom. It's just nature of life. We cannot control that. Then, kind of like a, that self-esteem level. Whatever we accumulate, how much we accumulate all these blankets and so on, and at the end, it just gets exhausted. And similarly, the end of or the extreme of that, how much rank that, kind of one goes up and up, one day just kind of fall down. So like that, just it is impermanent. That is, kind of one thing. So this all samsaric phenomena just don't examine, looks, kind of like good and nice and existing, but at the same time it arises, it born and die and exist and then just, kind of disappear. It looks like it is functioning, but when we, kind of examine very thoroughly, seriously, then, for example, like where we say, I, this body, kind of I, then, kind of it, whether there is a inherent existence of I or not, if you look, is this your head is I or not? If your right hand I or not, if your left hand I or not, your chest is I or not, your backbones are I or not, your right leg, kind of left leg, and your toes and fingers, and kind of like ribs and the every even parts, and also the your lungs and kidneys and hearts and that intestines and every parts and portions of your body is I or not. Is that, yourself or not? If you search thoroughly, you will never find anything that which is, I, because they are the parts of body. That's all. So when you kind of like examine very thoroughly, that every parts and portions and coming to even the particles and smallest particles, you search it up thoroughly from the crown of your head to the tip of your toe, you will never even find anything what is so called, self and I. That is never ever find. Only you find is what parts of your body. Therefore, so then, just how you cling and grasping that, this is, kind of I. And if this is in every part and portions of your body is I, then when you die, this body is just burned into ashes or buried into the earth, and then your eyes may be gone. So, like those, kind of, there are logical investigation. It is not just only this one. There are, whole bunch of logical investigations, logical reasoning to search, kind of thoroughly investigate whatever it is, kind of like existing, in a true existence or not. Then one cannot find anything that what it is in a way known as emptiness, emptiness in nature, that you could not find your identity. So it becomes identity less, identity lessness. So, and that, is the, kind of like a seal. So that is why, kind of here, within the fourth seal, how to view this world, not as permanent, but view as impermanent, because that is the truth and that is the reality. and not to view as happiness, but view it is as suffering, and that is the truth. We have happiness very temporary. Every now and then, every just kind of other day, every other year, especially like 2020, is kind of so much of suffering, the pandemic, suffering. That is the reality. And then, kind of like a identity, as I explained right now, kind of like the that one have to not to view as identity or true existence. One have to view it is identitylessness and the emptiness in nature. And with this, kind of understanding much deeper level of the emptiness or identityless or identitylessness. That, kind of to have that a clear understanding or deeper level of understanding, or to understand that the truth is called absolute truth. So understanding that absolute truth is called wisdom. So one have to gain that wisdom. So wisdom is the path. Wisdom is the path. And this, kind of path will lead us to what is called fourth seal. Just a Nyayale Devashuo. Entering into the Mahaparinirvana means, kind of experiencing nirvana means liberation. So liberation from where? From samsara. So, kind of oneself, really just kind of transfer from this, kind of samsara, which means one have gone beyond birth and death. As long as there is birth and death, you are in samsara. When you are gone beyond birth, then there is no death. Then it is beyond samsara. The nature of samsaric life is birth and death. And that doesn't matter whether you are just the Chakravarti, the ruler of the whole world. Also, you just born and then you die. No matter you are the richest person in the world, you are born and you will die. No matter you are the what's a kind of most beautiful, like world beauty, or just kind of born and die. And no matter you are just the kind of most famous in the world, also there is birth, there is death. And no matter how strong you are, so kind of with all these kind of extremes of the world quality, but still as long as in this cycle of that kind of birth and death, then there is no real kind of like true happiness, and there is no real kind of like a permanent happiness. So that is why the kind of saying emotion, kind of especially emotion, negative emotion, is like defilements are suffering, and then this kind of the last two one is related with the kind of nirvana version from the kind of the cause and the effect of the like absolute truth. Yeah, then since the time is just every single faster than second, every moment it goes change. And so time is already just exhausted, and that much in our being also exhausted, and that much exhaust within this whole complete kind of world, the phenomenon. That for example, like very huge mountains, after like 50 years, somehow it just kind of part of falls down without any other reason. That kind of like what's going through momentary change. So yeah, so then I stop here, and if you have question answer, then we have depending upon how much question you have.
Hi, Khenchen. The first question, Tara would like to me to read it for her. Khenchen, can you hear me? Khenchen, are you able to hear?
Oh, now here, yes.
Okay, good. The first question is from Tara. She would like me to read it for her. From current science, nothing seems to be permanent, but science can't see the Atman. Only meditators can possibly negate the inherently existent Atman. Some Hindus believe in moksha with the Atman. I know that I cannot rely on all science for reasoning. Einstein proved that every time we move, time slows down relativity. Even the double slit experiment in quantum physics shows a change in the results depending on the observer. I can't logically disprove the Atman, even with the continuity argument.
So it is more like a statement, not real any specific question.
Yes.
But the Atma, Atma can understand as kind of like consciousness. Atma is according to kind of Hindu philosophy that the Atma is Paramatma. They believe it is permanent. So that the kind of like that has to investigate in a kind of logical way that how kind of Atma can be kind of permanent. So impermanent, people can get confused in relation with the word kind of permanent because there is kind of like a temporary permanent, and then in one way almost like ultimate permanent. So temporary permanent, for example, like this our earth, just when we were born, the earth is existing. And even just kind of the first Buddha came on this earth is kind of like this earth is still. And for many generations, it's still kind of there. So similar like that earth and even our consciousness from life to life, it goes on and on. It looks like permanent, but it is kind of like logically it is impermanent in its kind of like a nature. For example, this world, and there will be a time what is called end of the world. Even many other religions also believe that there is the end of the world because they see there is a beginning of the world. If there is a beginning, then there is an end. In Buddhism, like a kind of sentient beings consciousness, how it came to existence, even cannot find the beginning. So that is why it seems like can't find the kind of like end. So the cycle, because cycle, the circle, the zero circle. Circle is round like hamsters. Hamsters into the whatever they are playing, kind of, they think like they are moving very fast, but they are wandering into the kind of like a circle. So that is looks like permanent, but not kind of real permanent, or that which does not go through change. So permanent has to be that which does not go through change. Permanent means that which has to kind of just as it is, and forever and ever and ever. Then that is called actual permanent. And then the science and some say they say quantum physics, and they are just kind of like investing and try to experiment so many things. It's true, they cannot find anything that's ever existing. Okay.
Thank you, Khenchen La. Tara has another question.
Oh, yeah.
And it's, is Buddhahood permanent?
Yeah, that those have question because Buddhahood, the enlightenment, is gone beyond permanent and impermanent. It is gone beyond. Permanent and impermanent is relative. If there is permanent, then there is impermanent. If there is good, then there is bad. If there is kind of you, then there is me and I. If there is high, there is low. There is good, there is bad. Those are relatively permanent and impermanent. All those dualistic. But the Buddhahood enlightenment transcends from that. So it is actually known as the unelaborated from great permanent.
Thank you, Khenchen. I have a question myself, Rinpoche.
Okay.
So is that similar with the present moment? Because the past doesn't exist anymore, the future does not exist, and we're taught to sometimes in meditation stay with the present. But the present moment is a concept which doesn't exist, and time also does not exist. So is the present moment also beyond existing and not existing?
Yeah, if because present moment is why it is called present moment, because there is past and future. So it is within the relative. Because there is kind of like a past, so that is why there is a present, and so that is why there are future. So it is within the boundary of time. So the kind of meditation where one kind of like try to get into, which is called present moment of awareness. So that present moment of kind of awareness is without any sort of involvement of the conceptual mind. So according to the doctrine, it is not a mind. It is the Rigpa. So Rigpa is, so that is why Rigpa is the one thing that which never ever goes through any source of change. So it is permanent. So that has to be find it out and recognize and stabilize. And that is called awakened and enlightened. Okay.
Thank you. Khenchen, it seems like there are no more questions on the queue.
Okay.
Oh, there is one more from Tara. Is Buddhahood beyond space-time? I thought it held the two truths simultaneously of past, present, and future.
That what's it? There is a thing. There is a kind of quote I know, but I don't just get it now. Have the saying that there is some say there is two truths, and some say there is kind of four truths. Those four truths. But in reality, there is not even existing what is called one truth. So it is very complicated. So it means, again, same thing. In relation with the relative truth, whole complete system of relative truth explanation, then there comes, kind of like absolute truth. And from that point of view, just, kind of, it seems like the absolute truth is something, kind of like a absolute and true and should be, kind of like a, just should be, permanent. But when we talk about the Buddha root and the Buddha nature and the absolute reality, that is even just gone between these two relative and absolute truth. It is also transcend from the dualistic truth, and it is gone beyond. So it is also not not kind of like a that it permanent and impermanent. Permanent is not. It is also beyond than that. So it is beyond time and space and thing. It is not a thing. It is not a time. It is not a space. It is just really gone beyond than that. So that what it is called the emptiness without any elaboration, cannot be elaborated with any sort of words and language and thoughts. So that is why it is said, kind of like inconceivable. If our relative mind cannot really conceive that, but there is such a thing.
Thank you so much, Rinpoche.
Oh, you're welcome.
It seems like there are no more questions.
Okay. So we have another one session or two sessions?
One session.
One session, right?
Yes. For the reading
so the next session. That what this real Sanjay. Yeah, so next time we are going to do real Sanjay. Okay.
Okay.
So no
Thank
question.
You so much.
Oh, you're welcome. No question, no answer. Then we, whatever merit we have accumulated, we dedicate to specify all this, kind of pandemic, kind of disease, including rest of all other, kind of negativities, within the, beings, and finally that dedicate that all sentient beings be, recognize their own primordial pure nature and attain liberation. In that way, then we do this dedication prayer as long as we all have that intention, to dedicate in that way to benefit all sentient beings. Pamje Sivani, Tumne Nyebe Tanam Pamje Sing, Jega Nache Palong Tupai, Sibe Tolen Doa Doa Sho, Ninjin Keko Tiyan Doa, Tadu Tambe Chedam Ninde Sing, Danshin Tenye Topa Tachin, Chunga Tuben Jitin Debra Sho, Sanje Tamba Tachin Debra Sho, Simjen Hamje Deshin Kibra Sho, Nindang Tendo Chola Chopara Sho, Oje Tenye Minjin Dubra Sho, Guru Pema Siddhi Hu, Dendra Guru Pema. Guru Pema Siddhi Hu. Not that big, huh? Right.
Thank you, Khenchen.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Rinpoche.
Thank you,
Everyone, thank you,
Khenchen.
Rinpoche.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Khenchen.
谢谢欢迎。
Thank you.
Thank you.
你哋咁多，應該是嘅。
Thank
感恩
you.
做人不切，
感恩Rinpoche. Thank you, Khenchen.
Thank you。
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. 今天都要是的嘞。Good night. Thank you.
Thank you. That's my brother.
太完美了，完全是。
快啲啊，身啊！好啦，到你咪起身就8檔。
Brandon 師兄，你喺咪度啊？你好啊，Brandon 師兄。
好的，下一波快速的走出。
好。
Brandon 師兄聽唔到啊！
嚇？
佢喺另外一個 channel，佢聽唔到啊！
哦，Cindy 啊，唔該晒啊！你頭先咧發咗嗰個 WeChat 俾我，係咯，多謝晒你。係啊，你講話收到啊。我諗住咧問阿 Brandon 咧，佢嗰個
唔該喺私下講咯，呢度好多人啊，唔該。
哦 ，OK， 唔該。
拜拜。打电话。没有。这是你们学校的吧？是啦。去了。
Attention please. Please wait for your train for the platform ending. Allow others to
Bye-bye, everybody.